Hello guys, and welcome to another one of my Fortnite videos. The game has been updated, or rather we have the new Flame Grill Floot trap in the event store that I have bought and tested out, and in this video here I'm going to be going through it. What it says when you buy it is that it has a 1 second delay before firing, so they are kind of giving you the warning on that already. That is the arming delay, and it also has a reload time of 12 seconds. So we have a reload time that it needs to arm, and then it actually takes a second for the husks to take damage while they need to be on the trap. The thing that is super important about the Flame Grill is that it uses powder. So it does not use mechanical parts, which means that it isn't going to be combating your assault rifles for the mechanical parts, making it a very cheap to craft trap. The thing that you need to keep in mind during this test video is that this is a review of the trap that I have with the perks I have on it, which are pretty bad. So you may get a different idea about how the trap works if you have much better perks than what I have, but this is what I got and this is what I leveled up. And the reason why I took it to power level 106 is because it uses this powder instead of mechanical parts, making it very cheap for me to craft. New players are very likely going to be preferring to put down 5 of these over 1 of these because they want to be saving up on their mechanical parts. But that is like one part of it. Of course, it's super important to note that you don't want to use these traps against water elements. The very first thing I did when I got the trap was to go into a radar mission and just test it out. And I happened to run into fire husks in this 76 mission and normal husks. So this is my absolute first placement of this trap. So you're just trying to find out how does the trap work. And the thing that I really noticed is the reload time. 12 seconds is crazy. It is a very long reload time, and then the arming delay as well. You're gonna see throughout the video the small husks are gonna be charging over these traps without taking damage because it takes 1 second for the trap to actually damage things on them. So if they pass the trap in less than a second, it is gonna consume one of its durability charges without actually damaging any of the husks. So that is super important. As you can see here, power level 76 normal husks die from my power level 106 trap. You can have a power level 106 trap in Canny Valley, and this here is the lowest power mission you can play in Twine Peaks. So the step right after, just to test out if you have your traps maxed at your Canny Valley, how good are you going to be performing in the low end of Twine Peaks. Here I was super lucky to find a nature element husky husk. So these traps deal additional damage towards nature element husks. This is the preferred enemy of this trap here. That is going to allow us to see some higher damage numbers on it. And you should be noting also these additional damage numbers that are coming up. That is probably the single most important thing about the fire grill trap. It deals affliction damage over time. So just as with the weapons that we have during the Spring It On event, things take fire damage and then they burn, so they take damage over time after leaving the trap. So that is like a massive plus for the trap. But also, besides the cost to actually make it, one of the only pluses, to be completely honest about it. Here we had a few incoming water husks. These are normal husks, and now we can see the reduced damage on these. The water element is the opposing element of fire, which means that they are taking half damage also over time from these fire damage dealing traps. So now we have looked into normal damage against fire element, against nature element, and against water element, just to see do things work as we expect them to. And yes, they deal double damage, normal damage, and half damage just as they should. What I'm trying to do here is fiddle a little bit around with these traps to find out how do they work, what are the advantages and disadvantages of the traps. And the main thing that I wanted to test out here was, does it affect flying mobs? And it doesn't. Not even the slightest bit. So we have the flying husk charging towards us, flying over these grills, and it is not taking any damage whatsoever. So if you are up against takers, and you're gonna be that in a great deal of maps, you cannot use these traps for anything. So we can hit the takers with a shockwave, with a grenade, with all sorts of punching things, exploding things, but they do not take damage from these fire grills. So that is super important, I feel like. Wow, I was so surprised to see that it dealt no damage. So that is Keep it in mind, guys, these traps have absolutely no impact on takers whatsoever. So with that found out, it doesn't damage takers. It has a long reload time, it has a long arming delay. Mobs need to be on the actual plate for a second in order to take damage. If they move fast past it, they're just not gonna take the damage. So I took the opportunity while I had this blaster here to try to fiddle it around to get a good glimpse at the damage from the traps. How does it trigger? When do the mobs actually trigger it? Do they need to be on top of it at the corner? Try to get a little bit of the nitty-gritty stuff figured out and shared with you guys, so you don't need to experiment too much about that stuff. This here is like half a kill tunnel. We do have the walls, we do have the floors, so we do have a path that we can guide this husk over. And at power level 76, these traps take out a decent amount of health from a blaster. The next thing that I wanted to do here was to make something a little bit like silly, but it was a dream I had when I saw the fire grill announced that perhaps if I combine the fire grill with a gas ceiling trap, we're gonna see amazing. If we have gas coming from the roof and we have fire coming from below, are we going to have some kind of explosion? Will we get crazy amazing stuff? That was what I wanted to try out here, so I'm actually making my very first kill tunnel with this here. Trying again here, we have water element husky husk. They take no damage from these, like almost nothing. This is a power level 76 mission, so it's for me a very low power level mission. But these traps are completely useless against the husky husks. They are tanky, no question about it, but not to the point where I would be expecting so little damage. But that is how it is. So I got my gas traps up. I have my grills down. We have fire, we have gas. I was hoping to see some kind of ignition bonus, kind of crazy weird stuff, but I didn't. There is no such thing in the game. The good news, however, is that it seems as if the affliction damage from the gas ceiling trap and the floor grill actually stack, meaning that we can have two different damage over times on these husks. If you're going to be seeing them here, you can see they're getting different types of damage over them. It may be like a coincidence, it may be other random stuff. This was my very first test, but the way I see it is that we have different values over them. Also some here we had a number coming up, so I'm thinking that we have double affliction on them, but I'm not entirely sure. I've been testing these traps for like 3 hours or something already, and it seems as if we have different values coming up when I use both the gas ceiling trap and the floor grill. So having double affliction damage over time for me is a good thing, especially because we have so many new things in the game that are related to the new afflicted monsters perk. So we have swords, we have guns, we have a lot of stuff that crits more, deals more damage to afflicted targets, and we now have another option to actually afflict targets. What I found here was really cool. I found a nature element smasher, and this kind of made me think about how much damage can I deal to a smasher with this. What if I try to see if I can keep it within the area here? What if I try to see, what if I push a husk away from this trap here? Will it then take damage, or will the husk actually be pushed away so that the damage doesn't trigger from it? Thing number one I noticed is that a charging smasher moves too fast for the damage to kick in. So it is going to jump, run past the traps when it is charging without taking damage. You're going to use your durability on the trap without dealing damage to a husk, so that is a bad thing. So smashers, charging, and your flame grill, bad combination. I tried to set up these wall pushers because I wanted to see if I could somehow keep the husk within the area and just lure it around here. And that really led me to another one of my conclusions about these traps here, is that when you push husks away from these traps, they are also not going to take damage from the traps. So the floor damage compared to the firing time on your pushers is in a way that really doesn't allow for damage from the grill. So your pusher fires faster than your grill, meaning that you won't be burning things if you push them away at the same time. Again, you're just going to be consuming your charges. So that was another like downer. It was expected, but I wanted to try it out. I then decided to wall in this area here to see if I could just get a peek at the amount of damage we deal to a smasher. The smasher is super tanky. We had a 25,000 crit here on a 76 smasher. So that is good stuff. We can see the damage over time because I have it in my slowing stasis field. Just really trying to get a glimpse of the damage we deal to the most tanky mob in the game with the best, like the trap of an opposing element. So this here is the best damage you can deal to like the preferred toughest opponent of the fire traps. So that was like something I had to find out as well. And what I obviously concluded after this was that this is a really, really bad match. This is not a zapper. This is not a high damage trap. This is just as with many other things that go area, it is a low damage trap. This just appears to be dealing actually much less damage than what I would expect from an area. But we need to keep in mind that we have this unique burning affliction on it at the same time. The next thing that I did was to go into a power level 100 map to fool around there. And I made my very first real kill tunnel. I have the flame grills on the floor, I have a dynamo on one wall, and I have a pusher on the other. And then I have affliction or ceilings in the roof. My thought here was, if I can use the pushers to stun the opponent, and wall lights can be used here as well, we're going to have the husks for a longer time on the same tile, meaning that there is a higher chance that they're going to be knocked down, they're going to take the damage, and if the trap is on a cooldown, we can actually, like, it can recharge and fire and damage the husk. And this was actually working pretty much like a charm. This is a pretty cool setup, and it is very, very cheap because we have the dynamo, the pusher, the fire grill. These all use powder instead of mechanical parts, making this like a low budget type of kill tunnel that you can make and actually take advantage of the flame grill, even if you have relatively fast moving husks. Of course, if you have dwarf mini husks, they're just gonna charge through. They are though very likely going to be zapped instead by the dynamos, making this here my best like look at how you can take advantage of the flame grill. And of course, if you're having a water wave, it's a no-go. The next thing I wanted to look into was, are these flame grills going to be shooting up through slants? Can I make a pyramid and have them underneath? And no, they do not fire when we have a pyramid on top of them. That would have been like my best case scenario for this. If I could have them under the pyramid damaging upwards, it would be amazing, but we can't. I tried out an atlas to go a little hardcore in on using these flame grills. I have really been testing these out, trying to find out what are the advantages and disadvantages of this trap type here. So I made some hardcore dedicated trapping areas. Here I had double pushers on walls and ceiling electric fields. This also worked out like a charm. As you can see, I'm actually getting attacked by dwarves from one of the other areas. Again, this is the weak point of this trap here. It is simply too slow for the small husks to be damaged by it, and it is too weak for the tough husks to be taken out. So this is a very amazing trap for normal husks and for husky husks. It is not good enough for blasters, not at a higher tier. It is completely useless against smashers. The smashers ignored the damage from these completely. They didn't care. Like normal element smashers and these, they were like, is it getting hot in here? I can't really feel it. So I had two smashers here and they just demolished my base completely. So that, guys, was what I had to share really about the new trap. Should you buy it? Absolutely. You can get it in the event store for event currency. It is legendary. You could get crazy good rolls. It is cheap to craft. It is in many situations a really, really good supporting trap for you to have, but it is not at all the strongest trap in the game. It has a great deal of disadvantages, but when you look at the crafting cost of it and you look at the guaranteed rarity you have, I feel the fire grill trap is a must buy for all players. That was what I had to share in this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, thank you very much for watching.